Breaking news, and by breaking, I mean it happened over the weekend. I was on the golf course. You were, I think, at home watching the Pistons lose, and we waited roughly 22 hours to do this. But breaking news, Richie Saunders back to BYU. The moment we've been waiting for has arrived. This team rocks. They've also added studs in Rob Wright and now Kenner Davis alongside AJ Debinsa and Keba Keita. They're still looking for more pieces, but for now, the biggest fish on last year's roster, Richie Saunders, is back for one more season in Provo. What does this mean to you?
First of all, I'm kind of feel bamboozled a little bit. I was under the impression he was back already.
No announcement.
Yeah, okay. Well, why did everyone let me walk around here like I'm Dawson Baker? I was like, yeah, my boy Richie's back.
Because when Kevin Young says it's going to happen, it's going to happen.
What does Kevin Young not do?
Hypotheticals.
Hypotheticals, you damn Skippy. No, it's one of the more underrated ads. Shout out to our good friend Trilly Donovan. Sometimes the best gets are the ones you already have. And after last year, thanks to Mrs. Saunders, who made Richie stay in Provo when Mark Pope wanted to take him to Lexington, he's now back in Provo for another year where he will be an All-American this season. Great ad, great get back announcement for the boys in Provo. For us, honestly, Greg, because I like Richie a lot.
Elaborate for me. Because not to put words in your mouth, Cart. I heard the meaning in your voice there. I heard the real sentimental side of Carter Elliott there when you just took a moment, you took a beat, and you said, I like Richie a lot. I don't think there's many players in college basketball that would get that sentence out of you. What do you mean by that?
Here at Sleepers, whether we actually do all the time or don't, I like carrying the torch for people that I think are disrespected for being killers. And I think Richie Saunders is a killer. And I don't think he gets respect because he's Richie Saunders and because his face looks like he should be in Baywatch.
Who's more Baywatch worthy, Richie Saunders or Andres Stojakovic?
Richie Saunders because he's blonde. That's what I would say. Just because he's got an OC face or a face of someone who'd be a menace at like Venice Beach Pier doesn't mean that that dude can't hoop.
Oh, breaking news. Richie Saunders can hoop.
Yeah, the thing is, Richie Saunders can hoop, but I feel like people don't want to go there. They are reluctant to be like Richie Saunders can go.
There was a moment. Do you remember the moment? Do you know the moment I'm about to reminisce on with you? It was you and me on one of these very Zoom. You were in that chair. I was in this chair.
This this could this could go anywhere.
Just a short 4 months ago, Card. It was the middle of winter. I was 2 months out from having a second child. BYU had lost like four of six. And I found something. And I tried to tell you that I found something. And you were skeptical at first. And that something, Cart, was superstar Richie Saunders. It was superstar Richie Saunders. It was the words, he's the best player on the floor. And I started saying that. And I started meaning that. And I said it when they played Kansas. And I was right. And I said it when they played Iowa State. And I was right. And I said it when they played Houston. And I was wrong. Because Houston was really good. Richie still might have been the best player on the floor, but Houston was way too good. But outside of that, this dude for 2 months was the best player on the floor every single time he set foot on the floor. Every single time he set foot on the floor. And I think he is seriously, truly one of the more underappreciated players in all of college basketball. We just recorded a full episode of the Sleepers podcast for Monday. Go listen to it. But there's a segment in it where we hypothesized if there was an anonymous player survey for every player in college basketball, who would be voted the most underrated player in America? And you threw out Richie Saunders, and I was like, 100%. I don't think anyone understands how good this kid is except for people that watch BYU every single day. And starting there, that's all great. We interrupt this Sleepers video to tell you about an offer from Underdog Fantasy. Cart, you love Underdog Fantasy, correct?
Of course I do. Can I have a moment real quick?
Please. Thank you for that. In fact, I'm going to cut you off because our listeners like when we keep these short and sweet. Underdog Fantasy. Sign up as a new user. Use promo code SLEEPERS. Get bonus funds up to $1,000, 50% of your deposit match. The NBA playoffs are rocking right now. I played Underdog last week with a Cade Cunningham line. I'm looking forward to doing it throughout the entire first round of the NBA playoffs, but there's more. You can place picks on golf. You can place picks on baseball. You can place picks on the NHL playoffs that are rocking right now. Join Underdog Fantasy, promo code SLEEPERS. Support this show so that we can keep bringing videos to you. Back to the video. You're not supposed to get someone this good back. That's the thing. When you're this good by your junior year, those guys leave normally. Or at bare minimum in this era, they portal. And he's back. That's awesome. He's back on a team that includes AJ DeBanza and suddenly this killer point guard and Rob Wright and all these other pieces, man. It's a luxury to be a BYU fan right now. I feel so good for that fan base, but that leads me to the pivot here. How is he going to look next year? How does his role change with the new personnel around him compared to what it was last year?
Uh, ooh. The thing is, like Richie works so well off ball, getting to his spots. I truly think that him being surrounded by better players will actually help him. Like I think being surrounded by like AJ DeBanson and the addition of Rob Wright's massive, getting a point guard for this team. Um, and they're also not done yet, but I just think that it'll make things easier for Richie.
So I think there's a couple different sides to this. In theory, his role, his job as a scorer, get to the free throw line guy should be easier because people are going to be focused on Devance and other pieces. Um, it also could mean a step back in production. Maybe not. But on last year's team, they wanted him to get every bucket. They're not going to want him to get every bucket next year. That's not a bad thing. It's just if AJ DeBanza hits, I would be surprised if Richie Saunders hits 17 points a game again. Do you agree with me on that?
No, actually, I don't. I don't agree with you on that.
Really?
Yeah, because this is a Coach Young offense. We're gonna have more than one 17 point per game scorer.
Is there room for him to take a production leap then, though? Or is it just like what's the ceiling here? He averaged 16 and a half points a game last year on insane percentages 52% from the floor, 43% from three,
I
84% from the line.
honestly, I think it does look similar,
Just right about the same,
right about the same.
which would be perfect.
Yes,
If he
especially
averages
with Devance's 19.
if he averages more than this, what does it mean?
Ooh, I don't even know if I want to say the first thought that came to my head.
Something went wrong.
Yeah, something went wrong if he does.
If he averages way less than this, if he averages like 12 a game, what does it mean?
They might have won a title.
That's kind of, which sounds like the inverse, right? We're talking about a player we think is so good. And we're like, if he takes a step backward, they might be insane. But like, that's kind of the state of the roster, which is crazy. Who's the best player on BYU next year?
AJ DeVance,
Best prospect or best player?
best player.
Who's the second best player?
Richie Saunders.
Is Richie Saunders the best second best player in America?
Yes.
Who's the third best player?
Rob Wright.
Is Rob Wright the best third best player in America?
No.
Who is?
Pop Isaacs.
I'm taking Rob Wright over Pop for what it's worth.
I know you would.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying. Congrats to BYU. Congrats to Richie Saunders. We also have video up on the channel right now about Kenner Davis, the other BYU commit over the weekend. Go check it out. Click subscribe while you're over there. Thanks for watching.